Hey traders, TG Watkins here, and it's finally here. I closed the trade. This is one of my biggest trades that I've ever taken, and I want to show you how I took my account from $46,000 to $719,000 in 1 month at the bottom of this market when everyone was panicking about the tariffs, and then this market rallied like crazy. So I'm going to show you exactly how I did this, all the moves, the setups, and show you how the rest of the Moxie traders in the trading room came along with us for the ride, and how this trade on one position gained over 2,000% in a month. And we had this thing planned out and ready to go, and we just walked right into it. So let me show you guys exactly how this thing worked out for you. So to kind of get to the point, I'm going to show you exactly all these trades we've been leading up to this. I told you guys SPX 6000 a couple videos ago, and each video that I've been showing you, I've been showing you all the good trades that we've been taking. And just to kind of show you in through here, the big one was SOXL, and we took stock, which was 100%, so we traded the leverage ETF. The options went 2,040%, and then we had a bunch of other trades. We traded TSLL 85%, FNGB 99%, Robin for Robinhood 70%, and then we took some option trades on Tesla for 405% and 215%, and all together these things grew my account. This one, I think it was $8,000. It was 815%. I just closed this on Thursday. And then the other one was 1,465% as far as the account gains. So these are massive numbers. We had a huge correction, and then the market finally came back up. I'm showing you all the twists and turns that this market did and how we actually were able to basically dance with the market and how this worked out very, very well. And throughout this, I'm going to be showing you guys some comments or testimonials from the rest of the Moxie traders that are in the room. We have a very active chat room in there, a lot of fun. People are enjoying it, and people like to say, "Hey, we're gonna have a great time." But basically, Emil was saying, "Look, I'm one of the best short-term market forecasters that he's ever seen, and lately I've been nailing all of this." So this is kind of the thing that I've been trying to show you guys over the last few videos on the weekly updates and showing you how this market has been going up, and that I think we were kind of led into this all along the way. If you were paying attention to the news, things were kind of telling us what was up. So here we go. Here I'll show you how the 1,465% account gain. You can see here on April 18th, this is when basically we started the position. The account was $46,000. Now this was my options trading account as far as like day trading. So I kept it kind of smaller, and was kind of getting into this. And I've been trading for years, but I really wanted to start getting into the zero DTE stuff. But when I saw this opportunity with the larger market and this bigger move, I just said, I think this is it, and I got to go all in. And so what you can see is I started building a position on the 17th, basically accumulating almost 2,200 contracts at an average price of 17 cents. And that cost about $38,000 that I put into this thing. And these were the alerts. Everyone in the Moxie room was able to get into this. I alerted this thing out on the 17th. Here was the SOXL as far as the equity. So if you guys just wanted to buy the stock, the leverage ETF, you could do that. And the other thing is, when I first put this trade out, I said I have a $20 target for SOXL. It's trading at $9.27 at the time. Now, it didn't quite hit 20, it hit 19, close enough. We still made a bunch of money on this thing. And then you can see here, we actually put out, same thing, just a few minutes later, we put on the trade for the $15 calls for May. And yeah, you can see about 17%, kind of moved around a little bit, but that's what I was able to get for that. And at the end of all this, grew the account to $719,000. So let me kind of keep showing you how we broke this down and what this did. So just remember, these results are not typical. I've been doing this for about 20 years or so. I eat, sleep, breathe this kind of stuff. And so we're having a really great time. And this is kind of a rare opportunity. I mean, how often do we get like the president doing this and tariffs and the market going 20% down? But this was something that when this stuff happens, you need to be able to see it, recognize it, and jump on it. Okay, so a little bit about me. My name is TG Watkins. I'm Director of Stocks at Simpler Trading. I might need to actually change that title since now I'm really been doing pretty well with options and all that. But if you guys are interested, come follow me over at simplertrading.com and on any of these social medias that I have. All right, so let's walk through this whole thing and how this happened, basically from the moment that the market started going down because of all the tariffs, and then how we actually figured out this thing was going to start bottoming and working its way back up, and how we got this on every twist and turn. So we were actually really, really strong into 24. I think everybody knows that. And then the market actually reached new all-time highs, I think early February. Okay, like really, it made new all-time highs. It was definitely a bull trap though. And so the market then finally said, oh yeah, tariffs, we don't like tariffs. And so it finally came down, and look at this. The first area that it bounced from was 10%. 10% correction. Pretty typical, isn't it? And then we had Liberation Day, which was right in through here. And I got to say, this was another thing that I walked the Moxie traders right into, because from a technical standpoint, price ran right smack into the underside of a downtrending hourly 50. That was pretty perfect from a technical standpoint. And so he came out with all that news. The market freaked out a little bit more and just went straight down even further. Now at this point, I've been in cash for a few weeks and we were just day trading kind of this stuff. But the other interesting thing is we got a gap down to 20%. So again, another typical level, 20% correction. All the big traders know that it's probably a buy point. And so I was aware that the market kind of came down to 20% gap. And when it gapped down like that, it actually started to get bought back up. I said, okay, this looks to me like this could be a short-term low just in general from here. And so we actually started getting into the market here. I think this was at the 7th or something like that. And then by the end of the day on the 7th, Trump came out and said, look, we are going to double down on Chinese tariffs. He said, we're gonna if the Chinese don't come to the table like within 48 hours, we're gonna put 145% tariffs on the Chinese. And I was like, oh my goodness. Okay, so we got out of our positions because I said I don't want to have to deal with that. And sure enough, you can see right here that when that threat came out, that the market did move back down, because everyone's like, oh my God, what are we going to do about this? But the real key, this was the beginning of the bottom and how we knew that this was going to start going up, is that when those tariffs actually got enacted on the 9th. So, okay, midnight of the 8th or 9th, more tariffs were going to be coming on. And the market did not go lower. Notice right there, it didn't go lower, even though more tariffs came on. You're like, ooh, okay. And so we're at 20% correction. We are at a double bottom. More tariffs got put on and the market didn't go down. That is the biggest clue that you could look at just from a market perspective. And what we started doing, if you look over here on the bottom right, this was on the 9th. And this was at 7:23 a.m. This is Pacific time on the West Coast. This is like 2 or 3 hours before Trump actually came out and said tariff pause. We started getting in because of these technical levels. So if anybody ever says you can't time the market, they are not a market technician. They don't look at this closely enough. They are not in this, okay? Because I'm telling you, there are ways to work with this. You do have an edge. It's not gambling. And we were able to figure out that this was the low in the market. We started putting trades on before Trump came out and said pause. And then you can see here that there was the tariff pause news and the market went, 9-10% in one day. And I said, absolutely, this is it. I'll show you more alerts after this. And then, kind of market pulled back a little bit. And then here was the other thing. People kept freaking out and thinking, oh, maybe this, it's only paused for 90 days. What's going to happen? Do we only have 90 days to go up? And so the market came back down like this. And I kept telling all of my subscribers, all the traders in the Moxie room, I said, look, this is actually the second opportunity for big funds to get back into the market, because whoever wasn't positioned, granted, maybe there was some news, maybe some people knew like this thing went straight up. All of that was probably short covering too. There were probably some people who got in, but the big players did not want to miss this. And this was their second opportunity to get in, because as price was coming back down here, they were loading up. Okay, I guarantee you that's what's happening. All the big boys knew that a tariff pause meant, okay, we're going up for a while. So they started loading up. And where did they load up? At the previous lows. They came in, tested this, and they started buying. And I said, that's what we need to do, okay? This is everything I talk about. These are all the Moxie setups and everything that I teach. And I said, we need to be back into this. And so I waited for it to finally turn around, and we started loading up once again right here. Again, I forget what day. I have more details of what we got in. We got into FNGB, FNGA. We got into Tesla. We just started adding more positions at that point. And sure enough, then you can see the market started to continue to work its way back up. We had a test of moving averages here. We had a test of the daily 50 right in through here. Again, all these things were starting to prove technically what I needed to see, that all of the supports and the tests were starting to work out, and they kept going higher. And then we started getting more news. We got the UK deal, which kind of popped up, but then kind of came back down. Everyone's like, oh my God, well, UK deal, but market didn't go, blah, blah, blah. This isn't really going to work. I'm telling you guys, people kept putting out, the news media kept putting out, they were just trying to, put shade on this whole thing, and it, blah, 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 wasn't going to happen. I'll tell you though, as soon as I heard that Besant and China were going to be meeting in Switzerland, I said, there's a deal that's going to be made. Okay, you just have to think about this. You step back, you just get away from the noise, and what you think about, you know that the administration, you know that America and China had been talking for weeks. They had been negotiating, figuring some stuff out. They were not going to go to Switzerland without a deal pretty much already in place. Okay, like this wasn't going to be a surprise, guys. The whole point of why they went there was basically to shake hands and to hammer out a couple details and then make a photo op and a press conference of this, okay? I didn't think that there were going to be any surprises. They worked most of the stuff out already behind the scene, behind back channels, on the red phones that they have in each office. Things were already figured out, and we just needed to have the news. And I kept telling all the subscribers in the Moxie room, I said, look, China is the biggest one. If we get any good news coming out of that trade deal situation about tariff getting backed off or anything, or just any kind of news about a deal, the market is going to scream. And that's exactly what happened here. UK was a little teaser, a little warm up. China was the main event, okay? And so you can see here, that is when the market jumped up. And that is where we started taking exits. We basically exited most of our positions on Thursday, even though the market continued to go up Friday, because I could tell that was basically the top of the market in this particular move. So yeah, this was really just tariff tantrums, and we had a great time with this, and yeah, totally nailed the bottom. So let me show you a little bit more about how all this happened. So we got in before the pause news, okay? Again, if people think you can't time in the market, you absolutely can. There is a way to trade the market. It is possible. I started from nothing. I knew nothing about the market. My dad got me into this, and there were other people that taught me how to trade the market, and then I picked up what I knew and just kept running from there. So it is possible because I know how to teach it. I can teach you guys. I can show you guys how to do this, and you can follow me into these kind of trades. And I just want to show you that there's evidence about this, because here you go on the 9th, and you can see 10:04. So again, that first one was like 7:20 in the morning. Now we're 10:04 in the morning. This is Pacific Coast time. And I said, because we already started putting positions on, you can see, look at this, the previous picture. And I said, if this starts to move up, I think we're going to be heading to the daily 21 and the hourly 50, maybe just over, and probably the third ATR. I was looking at 5,400. And surprise, that was like 20 minutes later. Look at this, 10:23, and news come out that 90-day pause. And I said, I think this time is it real? Because if you remember, actually a couple days earlier, the tariff pause 90-day thing was leaked, and the market went up, but then they had to walk it back, like, no, it was just, fake news, it wasn't anything. And so it actually turns out to be real. So this time when it came out and the market really started to react, I said, I think this is real this time. And lo and behold, everything that I had said and target-wise before those pause came out actually hit that same day. So the 5,400 target that I thought was going to take a few days, because I thought the market was bottoming and was going to move up, hit in one day, absolutely one day. And so because I saw that this was real, it was like, yeah, good timing about those trades. We had already started putting on trades before the news came out. And then because of this, I said, I think this is real. I said, if this market action is real, then we have a big multi-day rally, even if it goes up slowly. And I said, add to Tesla, add to FNGA, add to SOXL, or any other individual tickers that you guys are interested in. I said, this is what we've been waiting for. You can see that. I said, this is what we've been waiting for, and it's paired with good news. The technicals lined up, the news lined up. I said, let's go. And so we just dumped everything into this. And you can see the other thing about these things. So I've been trading for years, and you either trade the stock or you trade options. And occasionally, there's some leverage ETFs out there. You have the main market ETFs and all that. But over the course of time, there have been sector leverage ETFs, and now the proliferation of single stock leverage ETFs. And so I've been watching this stuff for years, and I've asked a lot of traders over the course of time. I said, hey, what do you think about these leverage ETFs? And everyone kind of just thought I was crazy. They kind of poo-pooed the ideas, like, oh, no, big deal. They have a daily reset, they degrade, they decay, they have slippage, big traders, big funds, big money, they're not in this. And I over the course of time, I look at this and they're wrong. All those traders are wrong. There are big money, big traders, big money, big funds. There is a lot of activity in this, and there are a lot, for some of them, there's a lot of options too. I'm going to show you that. You ever thought about taking leverage on top of leverage? Pretty crazy, but this is it. This is the kind of stuff that I was doing because I traded options on a leveraged ETF. You ever thought about doing that before? I have, and that's how I made 2,000% on this trade. So this is SOXL. And where we originally got in was right there at the bottom. And you can see that. So we got in right there. I was off by 1 day. So we got in here, market went down one more day and then came back up here. And I just want to show you, look at that, the Moxie price trigger. So everything I do is based on the Moxie indicator. This is an indicator that I developed years ago. This is primarily what I teach with, and this is the backbone that gave me the ability to trade like this. And now I teach everybody how to do this, and you guys can pick it up and buy it too. We got some sales I'm going to show you about. So that's where we got in. And then as this thing started to work, I mean, again, the market was crawling its way up. The SOXL was doing well. Everything was working. It was following all the things that should have followed. And then just before the weekend, I thought, just in case, I came here and I took out a portion of the SOXL options in order to pay for the cost. Just in case anything went wrong, I at least had my money back because I had made 250% on those options. My stock by the end of this went 100% because that's where we got out, was almost $19. I was targeting 20, and you can see by the time we jumped up like this and we exited on Thursday, it was 2,061% between the two exits that I took. And we've got really great people in here. Carissa, she bought a whole year. She bought the annual membership up front, and that way she's not tempted to bail because I'm teaching really great and valuable lessons. In fact, I keep hearing a lot of people came to my room because they got beat up around the market, and especially with those tariff tantrums, they lost a lot of money. They came into my room, and because of the guidance and the teaching and the trades we put on, they've earned their accounts back. I can't tell you how many stories I've heard of that. I've got a lot of testimonies. We got some more stuff that I'll be showing you guys coming over the next few weeks about this. So that was that. And if you look over here, here's the trade management that we actually did. So on the 9th, and this, I alerted this out to the subscribers. They all did the same thing. And, it's 64 cents. I sold a few because I wanted to, remember, it was $38,000 that I put onto this trade. I wanted to make sure that if anything happened that, even if it went to zero, I still got some money back. I didn't think that would happen. I figured if something went wrong, I could at least cash out maybe 100%. So I just cashed out $25,000 worth just to make sure that I at least had my money back. Okay, so put that aside. Now I'm protected. That was a 250% gain where I protected my account. That's a smart way to do that. That's trade management. And then when we finally got the news and the market just screamed for 2 days, I was trying to time it and figure out where this thing wanted to go. We got a little bit of a bounce on the morning of May 15th. And I said, I think that's it. I don't know how much further this market's going to go. We really only have until Friday because that's when the option expires. And this market, I think, is already starting to get a little bit stretched because it has been on fire for a few weeks at this point. So I took an exit at $3.80. And then I took another exit just a few minutes later at $3.55. That averaged 2,061% gain. And you can see that took my $38,000 that I put in this, turned it into $683,000, okay, on one trade. And it just took a month. I had to incubate a little bit, and then we finally got a pop at the end. Man, talk about timing. This all worked out beautifully. So that was a huge trade. And that was the reason why my account was able to grow 1,400%. And so Brian over here was saying that the Moxie system gives such great context for the ebb and flow of the market. And that's what we're working for. In fact, this last Friday, so when we got out of these things, we actually then put a short position on the market. And then Moody's came out just a couple hours after the market closed and downgraded the US debt. So now our short trade is also working. So we trade both sides of the market, again, with the whole ebb and flow of the market. So how about that small account? I mean, here, this was another account that I was trading $8,000. This is another one I was just kind of tinkering around with. And I saw the same opportunity, $8,000. And look, I only put $3,000 into this trade. And you can see here I did the same thing. We sold a little bit here to at least capture this. So even if it went to zero, I would be back to where I began, actually a little bit more profitable. And then you can see here on the 15th, sold it, 385, 340, little slippage. But this came out, I put $3,000 into this trade. It came out to $49,000 just on this one. And this was a small account. So just so you guys know, I did the same trade on a bigger account and a smaller account. It doesn't matter. I trade all of my accounts the same. It's just the dollar amount is different. That's all that matters. It's the same structure. I took the same percentage and just said, let's go. And yeah, same thing, exited for an average of 2,061% gain on those SOXL options. This is like options on top of leveraged ETF, kind of crazy. So that brought the entire account to $73,000 from $8,000. Pretty nice. So yeah, that's looking good. All right, so then some of the other trades that we took that kind of helped the situation, because I saw Tesla. Tesla stopped going down even though the market went lower. This was another thing that you guys, if you're going to be trading the market, if you're going to be market technicians, you need to be aware of what's happening with other stocks, because that's going to show you relative strength. Okay, there's some big books that talk about this, William O'Neill, How to Trade Stocks, all that kind of stuff. If you look at this, the fact that Tesla did not go lower, even when Trump put on the Liberation Day and the market went down another 10%, Tesla did not make new lows. That is good strength, okay? You need to pay attention to that. And so I did kind of the same thing. Now, this is where I was kind of experimenting, because I noticed that TSLL actually had some pretty good options activity. So I thought, okay, let me see how this works. So I decided to buy a $10 call, so $10 strike call. It was 54 cents. Remember, this is like a portion of Tesla. So 53 cents, 54 cents, and we bought it right there. And then, of course, pulled up, got a little flag, and then we got the news. The whole market ran. And I sold this on Thursday right there, and it went 864%. So I sold it at $5.22. Now, this one wasn't much that I talked about. I had actually a couple traders in the Moxie room do the same thing. I was talking about it. This wasn't one of my main trades. It was more of an experiment, but I want to show you guys this is possible. Okay, so this is going to be something I'm probably going to be looking into a little bit more. And you can see here, our original stock entry on TSLL was here, and then we exited here for 83% gain on the stock, on the leverage ETF stock. So other people, and I got to put this, what I wanted to show is I teach 0DTE SPX trades and how to do this. And I got to say, I have been doing that. I've been practicing for the last year, figuring out how to do this and see if my method works for it, and it does. And I got to attribute part of my success on this series of trades and this trade, and how I started to get better and proficient at options trading, was that I taught myself how to trade 0DTE. I was able to take, when you look at swing trading, it takes days to weeks for these things to play out. But when you day trade, all of this stuff happens in a matter of hours, because you have to put the trade on and off within one day. So I was getting just a master's degree very, very quickly because of so much activity that happened every single day. And I was able to figure out and watch how options move and how they work. And it gave me a really good understanding of what to do. And all I had to do was say, instead of day trading, I'm now swing trading. So I took everything that I learned from everything I teach from the 0DTE, which I have classes on if you guys are interested, and I just applied it to swing trading. So this worked out fantastically. All right, so then here's what this looks like. Just to show you guys, again, we kind of started loading up on the 9th. So 9th. Here were the shares for TSLL. And then on the 15th, we got out. I didn't sell all. I sold like 3/4 of the position because I'm trying to trade around this. So I do think the market's strong. I think we're going to go higher. But you can see where I sold it for. That was 84% gain on the leveraged ETF. And then if you look, we also took a couple more trades. This was once even Tesla popped, and I thought, okay, this market's going to carry for a while. We made a pretty quick trade here for 215%. Right here, you can see the spread trade that we made. That was a 215% gain. And then you can see over here, this was one that we had taken a few weeks earlier when the price was much lower. And you can see the spread trade that we put on this one. We definitely got in the money on both of these, and that was a 400% gain on that one. So we were just killing it on Tesla because we were making trades left and right on Tesla, and just fantastic. So that's also what contributed to the account gain. Now, other things that help the account and to grow. I love trading Bitcoin, but I like trading BITX because, well, I like leverage. So this is a way, and I don't know if I'd have to look and see if there are any options that you guys can trade on this, but maybe the same concept. But if I'm going to be trading Bitcoin, why not get some leverage out of it? So BITX is my vehicle for how to do that, and there was a 40% trade. So we got in, we got out, made 40% on that, and you can see that's about all that actually went. And now Bitcoin is resting, so that was fantastic. And you can see here are the actual exits that we took for TSLL, 84% gain, SOXL, 99% gain, FNGB, also 99%. Now FNGB, FNGA, FNGU, they've kind of been changing stuff around. Basically, it's the FANG stock ETF. It's the way to trade the mega caps, but also with leverage. And so I love this thing. This doesn't even show the true extent of what we're doing. We made probably 5 or 6 trades on FNGB on the way up. So we were slicing and dicing this thing and made just great moves. But our core position, from when we first got in, went 99%. All right, guys. So if you're interested in coming into this and want to know about this, this is where you guys can start finding out. I have classes that I just taught about this. Okay, it's pretty wild. I just finished teaching a class about these ETFs, these leverage ETFs, and the nuances, the secrets about them. If you guys want to know about this, this is actually a pretty inexpensive class. This is where I taught everything. Now, I'm going to show you in just a second. We actually have a couple packages that put this all together, but I'm going to put the links in the description if you guys are interested. These are brand new classes that I put out, and look what just happened. Okay, I taught these classes. The market did what it did. We just made some killer trades. I just gained my account by 1,400% because of this information that's in this class. So we have that. And then the real big thing that you guys are want to go to, how do you get these alerts? You don't want to miss out on this stuff, okay? You can watch my videos, you can see all this stuff. People will be like, oh, you know, why are we getting this information 5 days late? It's because you're watching it for free on YouTube. So if you guys want to come check this out, if you're taking their trades seriously, you need to come into the trading room. That's where you can get the real-time alerts. I'm on the mic every day for an hour. You can ask me questions. You can ask me how your stock is doing. Any other kind of trade ideas, I'm in the room. We talk about this. We do this stuff. We eat, sleep, breathe this. I love it. Okay. So you can come in for a $7 trial for 30 days. You can see how it is, see if it's the right fit for you, and see what I do. So it's going to be simplertrading.com/trading room/Moxie Indicator. Again, the links are going to be in the description. And this is where we have all the stuff that I put out here. This is really the full kit and caboodle. This is where you want to do it because this is where we take all of our live trading. You're going to want to come in here. All right, so then a little bit more because again, we have a really fun time in the Moxie room. I just want to show you what it's like that if you guys join, you know, the kind of community that you're going to be in here. You know, Eric's like, oh, I can't stop thinking about TJ's account success that he shared yesterday. Yeah, pretty fun. And then, yeah, bought a lot more contracts and shares than I did. Same percent. So here, Carissa got the same percentage. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. This isn't a fluke. You guys can come in, you can join it, you can follow me with these trades. She had the same success I did. Now it's just up to you how much you want to put on these things. Janet, yeah, congratulations, growing your small accounts. And she too has grown her small account trading with me. So thank you, and teaching, okay? This isn't just feeding you guys with a spoon. I teach you guys how to do this. And high vibrations, yeah, newbie here. Now this is really pretty crazy. This person was able to get their account over $25,000 and now they're outside of the PDT rule, you know, the pattern day trade rule. So this is huge. Now they don't have to worry about, having to roll something over, can only do one trade per day or something like that. It really opens the door, and this person was able to actually grow their account to get over $25,000 and get rid of that rule. And Joe, it's hard to communicate how your honesty and trustworthiness. So thank you, Joe. I really appreciate that. It means a lot. That becomes evident as a person gets involved with you. That wasn't initially brought to me, but it's unusual and it's why I've stayed. So thank you, Joe. That one really means a lot. That was definitely from the heart. So thank you. So if you guys are interested, comment on what I want to show you here. All right. So the ETF breakout session and the SPX 0 DTE session are all included in this. We are running a special. It starts, I think, yesterday and goes to Memorial Day. So I think it's 20% off. This is the Moxie Indicator class. You get the Moxie Indicator. You get, I think you get access into the room. I think you get something like that. Don't quote me on that, but I think you get something there. And then you get the ETF, the leverage ETF class that I just talked about. It's a brand new class. And you get my 0 DTE SPX class that I show you how to day trade the SPX, which again, shows you things about options and how options move visually that I bet you most of you don't know and most people don't talk about. Professional traders really don't talk about this. I didn't even know this. I've been in the industry for 20 years. I work at Simpler Trading. Nobody ever taught me this. I had to figure it out on my own, and that's the thing that really helped me figure out how to trade options. And then I just took my day trading skills and I applied it to swing trading for options, and now look at what we're capable of doing. Okay, so this is really a big deal. If you guys are interested, come on over here. Again, links are in the description, simplertrading.com/courses/Moxie method. And you come up here, the Memorial Day code, you get 20% off. It's MEMO, so Memorial 25, right? This is a great opportunity. You guys have a couple weeks to get this. The market, I think, is on fire, okay? If you look at everything that happened, yes, we had a 20% correction. Yes, we had tariff tantrums, but look how quickly the market came back. We are within spitting distance of the market right back to where it was. I'm looking at the market making new all-time highs sometime in the future. I don't know exactly how it's going to go, but I'm looking at a ton of strength out there. I had a couple classes earlier when we were teaching all this, and I think a lot of people were scared when the market was going down because that's when I was teaching the class. But those who stuck with it, those who said, look, this is always temporary. We don't know how long it's going to last, but it's temporary. Those who stuck with this saw the possibility, saw how well I can trade through this. And it meant that when the market was down, there was an opportunity and you didn't want to miss it. So there are a lot of people who are still on the sidelines. There are a lot of people who got out of this dip, they missed the market, now the market's back up, and now they're going to be chasing this. We are already in, we've already captured a bunch of this, and I want you guys to be able to join the Moxie room, come along for the ride. We're having a great time. Really, that's really just kind of it. We're having a great time, and I want you to be on board with this. If you've been having challenges with trading, now's your time to get in. I even had a friend from Arizona who told me that he's kind of been watching me and seeing what I'm up to, and he had a hard time with the market, lost a bunch of money, but he came into my room, he took my classes, he started learning everything, and he said he got all of his money back, and now he's profitable in his account, and he understands how to trade so much better, okay? We got testimonials like that all the time. I really hope to see you guys in the Moxie room. If you have any questions, call out customer support. If you have any questions, I'm on social media. You can reach me there. You can ask me questions. I do Wednesdays. I'm live on social media, so come find me, come say hi, and let me know how I can help you guys, because this market is good, it's fun, and there are lots of opportunities. So thanks again for tuning in. I hope to see you guys in the Moxie room. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you later.